And, you know, I'll try to zoom you in a little bit, but even then, like I say, there's not much light up in here, and I don't want my hands to get in the way. In fact, they might. But you just know that at this point, I've got to undo these wires, right? Because I've got to get the next set of wires in here. And so I don't think it really matters which wire nut I take off first, second, third, and anything like that. Okay, and I know, I thought it was funny too that it's yellow wire nuts up here, because yellow wire nuts usually won't hold all of these wires in there. Usually I would see red wire nuts, and they might have used yellows, you know, for the 3 wires, the 3 solids, for the blacks and the whites, and the adapter wire. That's not a solid wire, it's a stranded wire, but then it's soldered at the end. You know, usually you have to use a red wire nut for that, and then they'd use a yellow for the red connection on this adapter. You know, but they didn't. I don't know. You know, luckily enough for them, the yellows fit because it's 14 gauge wire. If those were 12 gauge wires, the yellow wire nut would have been too small. I think they would have had to have used red. Okay, now you might be saying, hey, how do you know there's no power up there? Well, because of the breaker, the light was off, the lights were off in this room, and there should not be another circuit up here. Could it be possible? Could it be possible that there's 2 circuits in a junction box? Well, yeah, it could be possible. I've seen that happen before in a light switch box, or a box in a, you know, like where your garbage disposal is and your kitchen. That could be on a separate circuit as opposed to your light switch, as opposed to your, if you have an electrical outlet next to that, you could have 2 circuits. I've even seen it where there's 3 circuits, 3 different circuits in a junction box before. But could it possibly be possible in this area? No. You know, of the configuration that I'm looking at, no. But if you're having a question about that and the breaker was off for this, and you see that everything else is off, then you can take your wire tester and you can start testing like I was doing. And I'm not seeing anything for any of these wires. Okay, my little tester button would go on. If you haven't used your electrical tester for a while, you could make sure to plug this in to an electrical outlet that you know is powered. I could do that out in the hallway, make sure that this little light goes on or something like that. Have you checking this and finding out that for some reason your tester's not working and you thought it was off, and you touched something and you zapped yourself or something, you know. But okay, so now I have to remove those wires to a certain extent. Well, I think I do, but you know what? I don't. Well, I think I'm going to, just because I can see how some of these are wrapped around there. They're not like together. You know, some are kind of not twisted how I like to see them twisted at the end. Okay, especially if I'm going to add another wire, because I would just fish the wire in here and I could take it, put the black here, white here, ground here. I don't have to worry about the red. The red is still going to be hooked up exactly like how it came off this little adapter, right? And I don't need the red wire. All right, 14 gauge, 14.2 with ground is all I'm using. All I'm doing is hooking up the white wire, the black wire, and the ground wire from my new wire that's going to the ceiling fan. Okay, that's all. All right, so I'm going to get back up there, undo those wires a little bit. And another reason I'm going to do that is I see that the sheathing on these cables, they have it cut right at the ceiling height, which means a lot of the cable, maybe 2 inches or so, is fully cabled with the sheathing on the wires, and I could strip some of that back. And then I can separate the wires a little bit more, get the ground wires pushed way up into the box, get the blacks pushed way up in the box, have enough room to get 4 sets of wires in this box, as well as my adapter. I still have to get the adapter to the smoke alarm pushed up in the middle and pushed up far enough so that when I have it clipped onto the smoke alarm, there's still enough room to push up there. So figure out all that. I'm gonna have lots of wire, bigger wire nuts, at least 2 red wire nuts, because I've got 4 black wires, 4 white wires, along with the stranded tiny wires. So in a sense, I got 5 wires on the black, 5 wires on the white, and that's going to take red wire nuts. I might be able to get by with a yellow wire nut on the grounds, and for sure a yellow wire nut on the red. Okay, that will give me enough room, I think, to push it up there, finagle everything up there, especially if I have the sheathing cut back. And you can have the sheathing cut back into a box up higher than that. Usually you only have to let a little bit, maybe ½ inch sticking into your box, because they're already stapled up there in the ceiling and stuff. It's not like those wires are going anywhere. All right, so I'm gonna go up there and get my pliers and loosen up all those wires, cut the sheathing off, straighten out the tips of the wires, the existing wires, with my pair of pliers, get it all kind of set up, and I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. Can you believe that? I got 1 minute left on my SIM card of this whole thing. I thought I'd had plenty of time, but hey, if I can do it, you can do it. Remember that.